Hey everyone. So a couple of months ago, I posted a video about preparing. But in that video, I only spoke about preparing food. And now, seeing how everything is getting around the world, especially in Europe, the energy crisis, how people are having a hard time just getting the fuel just to cook, to heat their homes. So I'm not saying that that's going to happen in this country, but there's always a possibility. We can never say never. So I just wanted to share with you guys a couple of things that I learned over the last year and a half or so, following some of these preppers and some of these survivalists. And I'm just gonna try to make this video as quick as I can, just to give you some pointers and tips on what you can do. Now again, this is just, my opinion. These are just things that I, will try. I mean, you choose to do whatever you want on your own. Again, safety is the most important thing, guys. So if you're gonna heat anything, especially indoors, if you're gonna have any kind of propane heaters or anything in your house, I highly suggest that you first of all, do your own research, study up on how to be safe, what precautions you need to take. Obviously, you have a fire extinguisher, 2 or 3 in your house. You should always have that anyway. And also the carbon monoxide detectors, make sure they're working, because you never know. I mean, you try to stay warm and God forbid, you wind up killing yourself and your family because of carbon monoxide. So, but anyway, that's the first thing. One of the things that I learned last year through one of the survivalists was how to make what they call a rocket stove. So I just took these bricks that I had thrown around in my yard. I mean, you don't have to go and spend a lot of money. You just, makeshift, make whatever you want on your own. So I'm gonna light it. Hopefully it'll work. It worked last year when I tested it a couple of times. So I'm gonna light it and I'm gonna show you. I mean, in this you could use it to cook. God forbid you don't have a source of gas or electricity or anything in your house, and you're hungry, you have food. Okay, we did our last video was on preparing food and having enough food available. But what good is it if you can't cook that food, if you can't make it ready? So, but anyway, so I'm gonna show you. This is a very cheap, cost-efficient way to do it. Obviously, you need to have some wood, so I would recommend that if you can, start getting some twigs in the park and everywhere, because you don't need big thick pieces of wood, just kind of like twigs as you see that I have there. And it works great. I mean, you'll be surprised how great it works. Anyway, I'm gonna try to light it, and we'll see how it goes from there. Obviously, we want to have dry wood. It can't be wet. A lot of people think that they can just go and cut a tree down and try to make a fire, but that only works if the wood is dry and cured. And wood usually takes, there it is. It looks like we got it going a little bit smoky, but that's because some of this wood got wet the other day. So, but anyway, you see the flames coming out. So while that's heating up, I'm gonna show you guys some other things. Obviously it looks like I'm using some green wood there, but that's okay. So I'm gonna throw my my grate from my grill on here. Okay, I got a pot with some water. Let's get it going, and hopefully when we come back, that water will be boiling. So anyway, so another thing that I want to share with you guys was if God forbid you don't have heat in your house, what are you gonna do? So I bought a couple of these Tough Buddy heaters, propane heaters. As you see, the only thing is, last year when I bought it at Lowe's, I believe I got it for like, I think it was like $38 or $40 each. The last time I looked, they were almost $80, probably more by now. And they run on these little tiny propane tanks, okay? The ones that you use for cooking if you go camping and stuff like that. The only thing is these tanks, I think they only last maybe about an hour or two if you have the heater on the whole time. So another thing that you can do is if you have your large propane tanks, like the ones that you use for barbecuing, they have attachments that you can use. You connect it to that propane tank and you can fill these little ones up. I mean, how many of these are you going to have in your house? So And these, and I picked them up at Walmart last year. And when I picked them up last year, I got more than two, obviously. When I picked them up last year, they were, I think it was like $6.99 for the 2-pack. I looked the other day and it was almost $11 for a 2-pack. So you see, everything's getting expensive. So if you're gonna prepare, start doing it now. The other thing that I want to share was, you know, I bought this crank radio online on Amazon. It's pretty cheap. I've been using it all summer long on my in my backyard. It runs on batteries, on solar. As you see, it has solar on it. You crank it also, and it's powerful. You'd be surprised the stations that it catches. So God forbid something happens and we have no way of communicating. We need to know what's going on out there in the world. So this is a good one. I mean, a lot of the people that I follow, a lot of the preppers that I follow, they do ham radio and stuff like that, but I'm not going to get to that far point. And then the last thing that I wanted to share with you guys was water. You need to find a way to purify water, and there are many different ways. As you see here, I have the life straw. You can pick these up at Costco. They have like an 8-pack for, I think the last time I saw it was like $30-40, and they're pretty cool. You can use them when you go camping and stuff like that. I also bought this gray old bottle, which you fill it, put it in the water, and it filtrates and cleans it out. I also have the water treatment chemicals that you use to put in your water. Gives you all instructions and everything on how to do it. I also have these water purifiers. And last case scenario, I have Pool Shock. And Pool Shock is supposedly really good. I haven't used it yet. Thank God I haven't had to use it. And then also, one thing that I also highly recommend is, you see I have a binder here. And in this binder, we have, I have everything like that I need. God forbid the internet goes down and we don't have a way of finding out how to do things. In here, I have everything, like how to make water safe, even how to plant, like some of my crops that I started planting this year in my small garden. Just that, guys, you know, first aid, that's another thing. I highly recommend that you get some first aid stuff, you know, like stuff for colds, headaches. Yes, I even have stuff for the girls, you know, so you just make sure that you have enough. I mean, have some vitamins, some vitamin C, things that you'll need, guys, that you might not be able to get a hold of in a situation where things get really, really ugly. And if they do get ugly, the last place you want to find yourself is out there in the stores trying to get some food, trying to get some medication, trying to find a way to heat yourself and keep yourself warm. And another thing, let's walk over to this fire and see how it's going. You see the water's boiling, it's starting to boil. And this sucker works, man. So another thing is that you see the flames down there. Okay, it's amazing. It's a cheap way to cook, cheap way to heat up your food. So anyway, so another thing that I wanted to talk about was you know, first aid. You got to make sure that you have a first aid kit, some medicines. If you guys have like medicine that you take monthly for health or whatever, you know, that's prescribed, I highly recommend that you ask a doctor to give you a couple of months subscription, if you can, to have that on hand. The last thing that you want to do is be caught out in a storm, in bad situations when things are crazy or whatever. So you always want to be prepared, guys. The last thing you want to do is, like I said, be caught in that. So anyway, with that, I'm you know, I hope this helps a little bit, gives you some pointers on what you should do. I mean, I'm not saying go crazy, go overboard, just enough to hold you over. Oh, another thing that I wanted to share was, I looked it up, but somebody posted this on one of the videos that I watched last year. And if it gets really, really cold and you lose heat in your house, if you go camping, maybe you should even buy a tent if you don't go camping, because what you could do is you take your tent, you set it up in one of the rooms in your house. You seal off all the windows, all the doors with blankets and stuff like that. And then you put a tent in the middle of the house, in the middle of the room, sleeping bags in there, and it keeps the body heat in really, really good. And that's a good way to stay warm. So I suggest that, you know, if you can do that, you do that. I mean, tents are really small, they're easy to keep, cheap. Another way that you can keep warm, and I meant to do it today and I didn't, is if you have terracotta pots, plants, you know, the planters, the terracotta ones, that we use, you know, for plants. I don't have that. I don't have any. I only have plastic ones. I think I might have one, but anyway, let me walk over and we'll see. Yeah, I think I have one. Here's my aloe plants, how they're growing, and my tomato plant. That tomato plant's a funny story. I had sliced tomatoes for a barbecue about 8 weeks ago. There was one slice left I was gonna throw away. I let it dry out and I just threw it in this pot, and look, and now it's starting to produce tomatoes. It's a funny thing. My peppers, I have a lot of pepper plants. Yeah, there's the terracotta pot. So basically what you do is you take 2 of these pots, you turn them one on top of the other one, you put a candle inside. It could even be a tea light candle, but I suggest a little bigger candle. Again, be cautious, be careful that it doesn't get knocked over. And you put the candle in there, and you'd be amazed how much heat these pots give off. The heat just stays into the pot, and it just spreads out throughout the whole house. I mean, it's not going to heat up your house like a heater, but it's going to, you know, raise the temperature a degree or two, which could be the difference between life and death. So anyway, I just want to show you guys my garden real fast that I tried this year. I failed on a lot of things, but I'm learning. You see my eggplants are starting to pop out. My tomatoes, because of the extreme heat, I thought many of them died, but it looks like they're starting to make a comeback. Some of them here, and my big tomatoes back there have some oregano, some basil. So you'll see. Anything you can do, guys, to just help yourself out. Just even if things doesn't get crazy, just with the price of food right nowadays. So anyway, I hope this video is helpful. And again, these are just, you know, suggestions. It's just my opinion. I highly recommend that you research everything before you dive into it. And first and foremost, guys, use safety.